Well, people, we are trucking right along into the era of RE movies that I just never cared about enough to actually watch. So I guess it's kind of cool checking out a few films that are brand new to me, but on the downside, they are Resident Evil films. A series that resembles the video game franchise it was based off of just about as well as I resemble an attractive, rich, well-adjusted individual. That is to say, not much at all. So I am once again going into this one with zero expectations that I'll see something RE related that I actually approve of, and instead I'm keeping my fingers crossed that the damn thing prevents me from falling asleep. And with expectations lowered to acceptable levels and a heart filled with an amount of resolve that can be best summed up as meh, we jump right back into Paul Anderson's trash fire of a movie franchise. What's up, guys? I'm Jared from Avalanche Reviews. Welcome back to the Resident Evil Retrospective. Well guys, I'll level with you. This one got my attention right from the start with this genuinely impressive reverse intro sequence that starts off right from the last movie's end, with this almost Ghost in the Shell style moment with Alice in the water, and the song backing it all is appropriately epic sounding. The action here is just total chaos, which I love, and it's great seeing Alice and Jill going head to head for the first time. I will say I am getting a little tired of the bad writers who keep pumping these movies out though. Listen guys, there absolutely has to be a way to write a sequel that doesn't involve immediately undoing all the work that was done in the previous release. There just has to be. After Apocalypse, the intro of Extinction spent a total of maybe 3 minutes killing off all the Alice clones and robbing her of her psychic powers she has an on-again off-again relationship with, and at the start of this one they kill off or capture all the people Alice saved in the last movie, plus take the possibility of an anti-Umbrella naval battle off the board, which is a real damn shame. And if you're wondering whether or not I'm being sarcastic about wanting that, honestly, I don't know at this point. And so we get yet another verbalized exposition dump at the start of an RE film, and at this point you might argue it's sort of a repeating stylistic choice, but to me it looks more like a hey dum-dums, you can't be trusted to remember something that happened less than 2 years ago, so here's a refresher kind of move. Either way, we probably should have expected this by now. That being said, I was not ready for the anime tier writing here.
Despite the apocalypse they'd created, the Umbrella Corporation continued to experiment with the deadly virus.
After the intro dump, we get to see the reverse scene played in the right direction this time, and the change in music played during this action sequence really takes away from the sort of emotional impact it had built up in the start. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still a cool scene, but now it feels way more cheap. After Alice takes an entire chopper to the face, she wakes up in some kind of a dream where she's married to a clean-shaven Carlos, and just as they set up some of the most artificial chemistry seen on the silver screen, Alice gets to relive the zombie outbreak again. This scene right here had me saying to myself, damn, maybe this Paul Anderson guy understands the Resident Evil series more than I thought. And I'll be honest, even if this turns out to be just a dream sequence, it's nice to see the movie giving us a taste of the sort of stuff it used to be based around. Although I am genuinely interested in who the hell lit these fires here. So Alice and her kid run out into the street where they come across Rain from the first movie. Hey, I remembered her name this time. Well, they eventually end up crashing and Alice up and leaves Rain behind, which is a little less heroic than we're used to with the self-insert Mary Sue Anderson has created from his idealized version of his own wife, but I gotta say this part of the movie does a pretty serviceable job of setting up an actual zombie film. Of course, it's nowhere near as solid as something really good like, let's say, I don't know, Snyder's Dawn of the Dead remake's intro, but I'm not exactly complaining. And it sucks again. Fucking record time, guys. Well, now we have officially left the promising movie premise behind, and we are left with the RE cinematic tradition, or as I like to call it, the Alice waking up naked trope. It looks like Jill's running some kind of 1984-esque interrogation sequence when the Umbrella servers suddenly get hacked and Alice is given a leather gimp outfit for reasons? And it looks like when the computers are down, so are these Umbrella troops, including Jill. Then we get a call back to the laser scene from part 1, followed by Alice walking into some holodeck type thing, which starts replaying the Tokyo outbreak. So far, it seems like 50% of this movie has been stuff that's already happened in Resident Evil, and another 30% is stuff that isn't really happening. But I do have to say this scene leads into what I could confidently call the most exciting and well-executed sequence in the RE movies so far. The difference in quality and know-how here is just on another level by comparison. After Alice makes her way into some kind of control room, she gets jumped by Ada, and I was expecting a lot here thanks to the previous scene, but instead we just get a shot-for-shot remake of Leon and Ada's encounter in RE4. For some reason, Alice knows all about Ada here, but her and Wesker seem to be in the business of helping her for now. So it looks like these two were responsible for the hack earlier, and then Alice, a literal psychic clone who fights mutated zombies for a living, has issues stomaching the idea that Umbrella could recreate a few blocks of Tokyo in one of their facilities. Keeping in mind it wasn't too long ago that she stepped foot in an Umbrella facility that cloned her over and over again, only to kill those clones as soon as they were born. And here's where we find out Wesker and Ada want to help Alice escape because of some nonsense about the human race needing her, a fact that directly flies in the face of Wesker collecting survivors to feed on in the last movie. Well, our blonde friend sent in a strike team to help with the escape, and you have to be fucking kidding me. Alright, listen, I told you guys I wasn't expecting accuracy, but Dime Store Leon here is really stretching that promise. Oh, and I guess the guy from the last movie is with them, along with #NotMyBarryBurton. So the story goes, the Red Queen took control over Umbrella after the whole apocalypse thing, and now she's the one running the show, and holy shit, that was cool. So we have a sort of dual narrative thing going on with Leon's rescue team trying to get to our girl, while her and Ada traverse a few testing environments, which essentially serves as excuses to put upcoming action sequences in familiar urban environments. Speaking of which, they waste no time before putting the two up against two executioners, and once again, these guys do look cool as all hell. And if I can just interject here for a second, what it looks like to me is the guys who made this movie seem to have dropped all pretenses of a coherent story, and they're just contriving a bunch of reasons for Alice and recognizable characters from the games to participate in all kinds of action sequences. And call me crazy, but in some kind of weird way, I sort of respect this. I mean, I would have loved for a competent writer to have skillfully put these characters here for believable reasons, but as long as the action keeps kicking as much ass as it's been, I don't mind so much how thin the plot is that strings these scenes together. Honestly, how many of you guys went into this movie thinking you were going to get an accurate representation of what the Resident Evil games were like? In this sense, I feel like this is the most honest a Resident Evil film has been so far. Heading back over to the other group, the Red Queen pits them against Las Plagas infectees, and we reach peak stupid with zombies firing Kalashnikovs. Before shit really goes down, we switch back to our girls, and Ada explains that this place is filled with clones, which would explain how Rain showed up, and I guess Alice has a kid now. And of equal importance, I am just now noticing that Ada is most definitely wearing a wig. And I don't necessarily want to focus on that too much, but this movie cost millions and millions of dollars to produce. How did this happen? After a little bit, the crew is confronted by a few clones from the original strike team in the first movie, and I gotta say it's really nice hearing this buttery smooth voice in an RE film again.
Surrender or die.
And we get this really cool shootout where Alice fakes a surrender to give Ada a chance to look too damn slick, and we get this hilarious part where Jill calls for the team to advance while this guy tells everyone to get back. Two pieces of dialogue that were probably shot separately and accidentally put together on the editing floor. Again, millions of dollars. So Alice and her clone daughter make their escape, but not exactly in one piece, and I've got to compliment the movie again on delivering actually watchable action sequences this time around. So far, the franchise has been me mostly watching interesting ideas fall on their face due to a lack of experience crafting stunts, but this time around they seem to have actually hired a person who knows what they're doing, because this stuff is really fun to watch. Stupid as all hell, but fun nonetheless. Alice runs across another clone of Rain who seems surprisingly happy to see the two despite them leaving her for dead not too long ago. Also, how the hell did Rain make it to the Moscow area? Do they just let clones move around this place as they please? All questions I expect we'll never know the answer to. Speaking of which, we join Leon as he's ass deep in a fight with a huge licker, but don't you worry, Alice has got spinners. So the group gets into a bit of a car chase, and apparently Barry has the ability to go incorporeal since none of these bullets actually hit him. After the liquor catches up, Alice grinds a sick rail, and we unite what I expect is going to be the cast members that survived this film. And again, I write all this stuff in real time as I'm watching the movie, so if it turns out I'm right, I think I deserve a few seconds of bragging. So the group starts heading for the exit, and I'm noticing a very Dolph Lundgren sounding accent from Leon.
We have just 2 hours to extract Alice and Ada. After that, we can expect heavy Umbrella reinforcements.
The Red Queen finally notices their progress and cuts the power on them, and you know what? I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong. So Alice's new daughter gets abducted and not eviscerated because lickers are well known for showing mercy to their prey, and Alice goes after her while the rest of the boys fight off the clone army. Which sees Barry fucking Burton engaging in a shootout with Jill Valentine with nary a Jill sandwich joke to be heard. 0 out of 10, would not watch again. Switching back over to Alice, the licker put her daughter in some kind of cocoon because they do that, I guess, and Alice stakes it out by busting some dope moves. And we get to see what is probably the coolest self-sacrifice scene I've ever watched before. Seriously, dude goes out like a champ. After this, Alice comes across Umbrella's Clone Disbursement Center, and you gotta wonder, instead of breaking Alice out of here, shouldn't Wesker be trying to get a hold of these clones to preserve the human race? I mean, sure, the world being made up of like 50 unique people all copy-pasted would be kind of hard to get used to, but it certainly wouldn't be the weirdest thing that's happened so far in this series. Back at the other fight, the bombs planted at the start of the movie finally go off, and the facility gets swallowed up by the ocean, while Alice meets up with our guys just in the nick of time. But right when everything seems fine, Jill pulls the age-old "you thought I was dead, but it turns out I have a Soviet sub card," while Rain injects Las Plagas, and even in the context of everything dumb that has happened so far, Jill pulling out this staff seems especially dumb. For reasons unknown, both of these spec op types decide to drop their guns and go for the old-fashioned approach to murder, which means we get 2 really sweet fist fights, and I'm okay with that. The resulting fights have their ups and downs, but each one is really cool looking overall, and at one point Rain uses the crown of her head to break this guy's hand, something that actually works really well in real life. During the fight, it seems like Jill's been training Muay Thai with all these knees and elbows, and Alice does what she should have done from the start. Then Rain punches this guy so damn hard his heart just stops, and immediately does it again, so really Alice has no right to be surprised, and despite having her sternum cracked into pieces, our girl still has a little bit of fight left in her. Or at least she had some. Jill finally comes to her senses, and the two doom Rain to the most terrifying death imaginable, both drowning and being eaten alive. After the dust starts to settle, the chopper finally shows up for them, and Leon takes one more step towards ensuring the Redfield line will definitely die with Chris. Then the group touches down in Washington, D.C., where some kind of resistance movement has been set up, with Wesker sitting at the head of the whole thing. And what do you know, plot powers can be given back just as easily as they're taken away, and we're left with this shot of Alice, Wesker, Ada, Leon, and Jill looking over the fight between the Living and the Red Queen, and even though I can see how plainly dumb this is, I gotta admit it's pretty damn awesome. I mean, come on, 4 video game characters standing next to the world's biggest self-insert as giant BOWs scale a wall that's holding back an army of the living dead. Honestly, does it get any cooler than that? So what we have here is one very honest movie. These guys wanted to see some sweet stunts and killer fight choreography, and they weren't very interested in having a plot that makes any kind of sense getting in the way of that goal. It may very well be the most stupid movie I've ever watched, and I can guarantee you that I will never watch it again, but that being said, it was pretty entertaining. Like I keep saying, you absolutely cannot come into this with some kind of expectation that they're going to treat the source material with any kind of love, because technically speaking, these movies use Resident Evil's established lore as a kind of combination idea well and outhouse. So you're definitely going to be pissed if you watch this movie thinking something like, gee, I hope they don't make Leon fucking Kennedy a Slavic man who's very clearly working around using something other than his native language. Make no mistake about it, this is a pure action fest that is as uncontrollably stupid as it is fun to watch, so I guess this is both a recommendation and whatever the opposite of a recommendation is. If you absolutely cannot divorce your mind from the characters and stories you know and love from the game series, please do not subject yourself to this utter garbage, but if you're the kind of person who enjoys a good garbage fire every once in a while, well, I think I might have found a new so bad it's good movie for you. I'll be honest with you, I started this series with the idea of holding it up to the games it was based on, but when I stopped trying to do that, I genuinely started enjoying parts of these movies. I guess I'm using a lot of words here to say this. Resident Evil Retribution, along with the other films in the series, are pure schlock. They are poorly made, they suck at maintaining a consistent tone, and they are almost painfully stupid. But they're also entertaining as hell, both because of and in spite of the flaws that I've been stating this whole time. So maybe check these later movies out. I didn't watch them because of how ridiculous they are, but now I think I might be appreciating them for that reason. Plus, these guys genuinely do seem to be learning from some of the absolutely terrible mistakes they've made in the past. I don't know, maybe I'm looking forward to the next one. But until we get around to that, here's hoping I see you guys one more time, right here on the Resident Evil Retrospective. Hey people, how you doing? I appreciate you listening to me take forever to express a very simple idea here, and if you dig RE movies, I'll give you some similar stuff to watch here on screen. I do have a Patreon if you want to support more independent content like this, and I have some merch if you have the understandable need to have my ugly ass face on your clothing. Don't read into that. Or, you know what? Do. Alright guys, I'll see you all later.